The flickering hum of ancient generators thrummed through Anya's bones, a constant companion in the desolate symphony of silence that was Seoul Station 13. Dust motes danced in the harsh yellow glow of salvaged emergency lights, swirling around her as she tightened a corroded pipe with a wrench older than she was. Her face, smudged with grease and sweat, was etched with a determination born of solitude and a stubborn refusal to let the last bastion of humanity crumble around her. Seoul Station 13, a relic of a forgotten age, hung like a decaying tooth in the vast, indifferent maw of space. Constructed during the early days of human interstellar exploration, it was now a lonely monument to a lost civilization. Millennia ago, a catastrophic event, a rogue asteroid strike, some whispered, a bioweapon unleashed by a rival species others speculated, had swept across Earth, scouring the planet clean of human life. Seoul Station 13, on a routine survey mission at the time, had been spared the immediate devastation. But cut off from Earth and its support network, the station's inhabitants had dwindled, succumbing to dwindling resources and a gnawing despair. Anya, born after the station became a tomb, was the sole survivor. She wasn't a historian, but the faded murals lining the station's corridors whispered of a vibrant past. Images of bustling cities reaching for the sky, of sleek spaceships carving paths through the cosmos, filled her with a bittersweet longing. Everything she knew of humanity, everything that wasn't buried in dusty manuals or faded data logs, came from these fleeting glimpses. The Tsar, the dominant galactic power now, arrived decades after the extinction event, finding the station adrift. They viewed Seoul Station 13 with disdain, a relic of a primitive species, and Anya with even less respect. "Look at her, fiddling with her archaic contraptions," Tsar Commander Xylo rasped, his voice a metallic hiss through the station's speaker system. His exoskeleton scraped against the metal walkway as he stalked towards the workshop, his three-fingered claw hovering menacingly over Anya's shoulder. Millennia of stagnation, and still they cannot grasp the elegance of true technology. Anya gritted her teeth, focusing on the pipe rather than the condescending Tsar Commander. Her worn brown gloves, the last pair on the station, were stained a dark red from decades of tinkering. "It ain't elegant, Commander," she retorted, her voice rough with years of breathing recycled air, "but it works. Keeps the station from falling apart around your shiny carapace." Xylo scoffed, the sound echoing through the cavernous workshop. "Silence, human. Your usefulness lies in menial tasks, not idle chatter. Now, report. Is the atmospheric processor operational?" Anya finished tightening the pipe, a satisfied grunt escaping her lips. "Atmospheric processor's fine, but the air filters are nearing capacity. Need to scavenge some Zolon filters from the recycling bay." Zolon filters were designed for Tsar physiology, incompatible with the human respiratory system. However, Anya had discovered they could be jury-rigged to extend the life of the station's ancient filters. It was a testament to her ingenuity that she could maintain a semblance of breathable air within the station's crumbling walls. "Zolon filters?" Xylo scoffed again. "Such wasteful extravagance. We Tsar thrive in a wider range of atmospheric conditions. But very well. You will complete this scavenging with dispatch. Our flagship, the Pride of Xylo, requires immediate repairs after a skirmish with those bothersome Yalkarians." News of a battle with the Yalkarians, another dominant alien species, did little to faze Anya. She knew the Tsar's arrogance well. They considered themselves invincible, their technology the pinnacle of achievement. Little did they know that even their mighty warships were susceptible to the cruel whims of space debris. Anya grabbed a battered helmet from a nearby rack, the transparent visor scratched and yellowed. "Pride of Xylo, huh? Sounds pretentious even for you lot. I'll see what I can do." Seoul Station 13's recycling bay was a monument to forgotten ingenuity. Decades of discarded Tsar materials, deemed useless by their meticulous standards, were piled high in the dimly lit chamber. Anya navigated the labyrinthine corridors with practiced ease, her boots crunching on compacted metal shavings. Finding the correct storage compartment, she rummaged through the piles of discarded Zolon filters, a plan already forming in her mind. The filters themselves were useless for Anya, but the casing, composed of a rare and highly durable metal called zarite, held the key to her secret project. For years, Anya had been collecting scrap zarite, piecing them together with salvaged human components. Hidden behind a decommissioned gravity regulator, a cluttered workbench held Anya's secret pride, a half-assembled contraption she'd christened Phoenix. It was a hodgepodge of technology, a mashup of human ingenuity and Tsar cast-offs. The core was a salvaged human fusion reactor, its humming warmth a familiar comfort in the cold metal confines of the station. Wires, some frayed with age, snaked across the workbench, connecting the reactor to scavenged Tsar power conduits and a control panel cobbled together from buttons and dials salvaged from various station systems. Prominently displayed in the center of the panel was a dented metal plate with a simple inscription, "For Humanity." The Phoenix, Anya believed, held the potential to revitalize the station's dormant systems, even perhaps power a small spacecraft long enough to reach a rumored signal she'd found buried deep in the station's archives, a weak, fragmented transmission from another human outpost. Of course, the Phoenix was a risky proposition, a Frankenstein's monster of technology pushing the limits of its salvaged components. But Anya, with her stubborn optimism and unwavering faith in human ingenuity, was desperate. Solitude was gnawing at her, loneliness a constant companion in the echoing silence of the station. Carefully, Anya began integrating the salvaged Zolon filters into the Phoenix's intricate workings. They wouldn't provide the perfect solution, but with some creative modification, they could act as an energy buffer, mitigating the potential overload on the aged fusion reactor. As she worked, a familiar metallic clang echoed through the recycling bay. Xylo stood at the entrance, arms crossed, his exoskeleton casting a menacing silhouette. "So human," Xylo rasped, his voice amplified by the echoing chamber. "I see you've found amusement among the refuse. But our patience grows thin. When will these filters be prepared?" Anya straightened, wiping a bead of sweat from her brow. "Patience, Commander. Modifying components takes time, especially with outdated tech like yours." There was a sting of defiance in her voice, a subtle rebellion fueled by years of Tsar condescension. Xylo's three-fingered claw twitched. "Do not test me, human. The pride of Xylo needs immediate repairs, or your station will face unpleasant consequences." Anya met his gaze defiantly. "The only unpleasant consequence here is your arrogance, Commander. We wouldn't need repairs if your precious warship wasn't built with the finesse of a drunken slug." It was a risky move, pushing back against the Tsar, but Anya held onto a sliver of hope. Perhaps, just perhaps, showing a little defiance might force the Tsar to acknowledge the value of her work, the necessity of her skills. The tense silence stretched on, punctuated only by the rhythmic hum of the station's ancient machinery. Finally, Xylo uncrossed his arms, his metallic voice tinged with a grudging respect. "Very well, human. Complete your task with haste. We require your expertise on the pride of Xylo." With a final hiss, Xylo turned and clomped out of the recycling bay, leaving Anya alone with her thoughts and the half-assembled Phoenix. Anya resumed her work, a determined smile playing on her lips. Perhaps she could use the repairs on the Tsar warship to her advantage. Perhaps she could plant a seed, a hidden message within the ship systems, a beacon that might reach another human outpost, a flicker of hope in the vast, indifferent darkness of space. As she finalized the modifications on the Zolon filters, a flicker of movement caught her eye on the workbench monitor. The weak, fragmented signal from the archives, almost forgotten in the flurry of activity, had spiked in intensity. A jolt of excitement coursed through Anya. Was it a coincidence, or was there a connection? With a renewed sense of purpose, Anya finished retrofitting the Zolon filters and strapped them onto the Phoenix. Then, with a deep breath, she flipped the activation switch. A surge of energy crackled through the workshop, activating the salvaged reactor at the heart of the contraption. For a moment, nothing. Then, a low hum filled the room, growing steadily in intensity. Lights flickered back to life around the workbench, casting a warm glow on Anya's triumphant face. The Phoenix was alive. The unexpected success sent a shiver of anticipation down her spine. The repairs on the Tsar warship could wait. First, she had a message to send. With renewed focus, Anya turned her attention to the faded signal from the archives, a renewed hope burning bright in her eyes. Anya spent the next few hours deciphering the scrambled transmission. The signal, weak and intermittent, originated from a sector far beyond the Tsar's established territory. It was a repetitive sequence of binary code, punctuated by bursts of static. Days blurred into nights as Anya deciphered the code, her excitement simmering with a cautious hope. It wasn't a clear message, but a beacon, a repetitive string that vaguely resembled a long-forgotten human distress signal. Meanwhile, the Tsar grew increasingly impatient with the delay. Commander Xilo's pronouncements of unpleasant consequences became more frequent, his metallic voice echoing menacingly through the station's corridors. Anya ignored him, prioritizing the message. Finally, after days of tireless work, she managed to translate the basic structure of the signal. It was indeed a distress call, a desperate plea for help from another human outpost. Anya felt a lump form in her throat. She wasn't alone. Somewhere out there, another flicker of humanity clung to survival. But the message also contained another piece of information that made her blood run cold. It spoke of a relentless enemy, a race known only as the Devourers, creatures of insatiable hunger that consumed entire planets. The Tsar, with their arrogance and focus on warfare, would be no match for them. The burden of this knowledge weighed heavily on Anya. She knew then that she couldn't just send a simple distress call. She needed to equip those on the other end with the knowledge to resist the Devourers. Turning her attention back to the Phoenix, she hatched a daring plan. The Tsar warship, the pride of Xylo, loomed large in the docking bay, a leviathan of sleek, metallic curves compared to the station's antiquated exterior. Anya boarded the vessel with a team of Tsar engineers under the watchful gaze of Xylo. The Tsar technology, though advanced in its own right, was baffling to her at first glance. But as she delved deeper, she began to recognize certain patterns, similarities to forgotten human principles. Anya spent hours under the Tsar engineer's watchful and skeptical eyes, her movements deliberate. She replaced a few key components on the warship's propulsion system, subtly integrating her own salvaged human parts. More importantly, she accessed the ship's data core. Here, amidst the complex Tsar coding, she embedded the human distress signal, a hidden song within the warship's very being. Finally, she painstakingly encoded a data cache within the core, filled with salvaged human knowledge. Blueprints for forgotten technologies, historical records, even cultural artifacts like music and literature. It was a message in a bottle, a beacon of hope for a humanity that might not even exist anymore. When Anya finally emerged from the warship, exhausted but triumphant, Xylo awaited her. "The repairs are complete, human," he rasped. "Yes, Commander," Anya replied, her voice steady. The pride of Xylo should be in top condition. She met his gaze defiantly, though perhaps some additional training wouldn't hurt. Users seem to rely on brute force too readily. Xylo let out a hiss that could have been interpreted as amusement. Perhaps human, but brute force often proves sufficient. "Now, inform the docking crew. We have a rendezvous with those pesky Yalkarians." As the pride of Xylo thundered away from Sol Station 13, Anya watched from a viewport, a bittersweet feeling settling in her stomach. She had sent her message, planted a seed of hope in the vast unknown. But she was also sending the Tsar, unknowingly, towards a potential confrontation with a threat far beyond their understanding. Alone again in the vastness of space, Anya turned away from the viewport and returned to the Phoenix. With a renewed sense of purpose, she began researching the Devourers, the enemy mentioned in the distress call. She wouldn't wait for a response. She would be ready, the last human mechanic, a beacon of resistance in the face of an unknown threat. Sol Station 13 might be a tomb, but within its decaying walls, a fire had been rekindled. The fire of humanity, refusing to be extinguished. Decades bled into each other within the sterile confines of Sol Station 13. Anya, weathered but resolute, clung to the routines that kept her tethered to sanity. Days were spent scavenging, maintaining the station's ancient systems, and poring over salvaged data on the Devourers. Nights were for tinkering with the Phoenix, its salvaged components humming with a promise of forgotten power. News of the Tsar's fate became a distant echo. Rumors reached the station of a devastating battle with the Alkarians, a battle the Tsar, with their pride of Xylo, leading the charge, supposedly won. Anya doubted it was a clean victory. The data cache she embedded within the warship contained a nasty little surprise, a self-replicating virus specifically designed to target Tsar technology. Anya had created it using scraps of information about a long-forgotten human weapon, a desperate gamble against a superior foe. One day, a flicker on the station's long-dormant communication system shattered the monotonous routine. Anya's heart hammered against her ribs as a weak, distorted signal crackled through the speakers. It was the same distress signal she had received years ago, but this time, it was stronger, clearer. Someone was responding. With trembling hands, Anya activated the station's ancient transponder, sending a simple reply. A confirmation signal followed by a string of coordinates pointing back to Sol Station 13. Then, she waited, a knot of anticipation tightening in her stomach. Days turned into weeks, the silence growing heavier with each passing hour. Had her message been lost again? Just as despair threatened to engulf her, a blip appeared on the station's ancient radar. A small, unfamiliar ship, unlike anything the Tsar or any other known alien race possessed, limped towards the station. Anya watched, a mixture of trepidation and hope coursing through her veins, as the ship docked with a hiss of escaping atmosphere. A hatch opened, revealing a figure cloaked in a dark, shimmering material. It was humanoid, yet subtly different, with an elegance that spoke of an advanced civilization. The figure approached, its voice a melodic hum that resonated in Anya's mind rather than through her ears. "Greetings, inhabitant of Sol Station 13. We received your distress call." Anya swallowed the lump in her throat. "Distress call? I sent a message, a beacon." "Indeed," the figure replied. "We were surprised to find a human outpost still functioning. Your message and the data cache you embedded." It paused, its form seeming to shimmer slightly. It was unexpected, enlightening. Relief washed over Anya, followed by a surge of pride. "Humanity may be scattered," she said, her voice thick with emotion, "but we are survivors." The figure bowed its head, its shimmering cloak brushing the metal floor. "We are the Ethel," it said. "We have been searching for other sentient life after a great calamity. Your message, your technology, it offers hope for a future alliance." Anya felt a tear roll down her cheek.
En alliance.
Not just survival, but a chance to rebuild, to learn from another civilization. Years of isolation washed away, replaced by a future filled with possibilities. "Welcome to Sol Station 13, Anya said, her voice choked with emotion. "Welcome back to humanity." As the Ethel representative stepped onto the station, the flickering lights of Sol Station 13 seemed to burn a little brighter, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity, rekindled by a single spark of hope in the vast emptiness of space. The last human mechanic, no longer alone, had become the spark that ignited a new chapter for her kind. Years melted away like ice on a hot engine block. Sol Station 13, once a lonely tomb, pulsed with renewed activity. Ethel engineers, their shimmering forms a constant source of fascination, bustled alongside Anya, their combined knowledge breathing new life into the station's ancient bones. Decades of wear and tear were addressed, dormant systems awakened, and a once crumbling outpost began to hum with a renewed vibrancy. Anya, no longer the lone survivor, thrived in this collaborative environment. The Ethel, intrigued by humanity's ingenuity and resourcefulness despite limited technology, treated her with respect and a touch of awe. She, in turn, devoured their knowledge, learning about the vast galactic civilizations that existed beyond the lonely corner she'd called home for so long. One day, while poring over a holographic display depicting the Ethel homeworld, a name jumped out at Anya, the Devourers. Her heart pounded as she pointed it out. This was the enemy mentioned in the original distress signal, the one I received years ago. The Ethel representative, an entity known as Lyra, shimmered with concern. Indeed, the Devourers are a scourge, a race driven by an insatiable hunger for resources and technology. We were fortunate to repel them once, but they are relentless. Anya felt a shiver crawl down her spine. The virus sheet embedded in the Tsar warship, was it enough? Had it even worked? What about the Tsar? She blurted out. Did they encounter the Devourers? Lyra's form dimmed slightly. Unfortunately, we have been unable to locate the Tsar fleet. Our best guess is that they were either wiped out or assimilated by the Devourers. Anya's stomach clenched. She hadn't intended for the Tsar to be annihilated, just a setback, but the thought of their arrogance being consumed by the Devourers filled her with a morbid sense of justice. But there's hope, Lyra continued, a flicker of optimism shimmering within its form. The data cache you embedded within the Tsar warship, it contained information on an experimental human weapon, a weapon capable of disrupting the Devourer's energy-consuming technology. Anya's eyes widened. The Phoenix, she whispered, her gaze darting towards the now-polished contraption in the corner of the workshop. You think it can be adapted? Lyra glided closer to the Phoenix, its tendrils scanning the salvaged components. The core concept is sound, it hummed. With Ethel technology combined with your ingenuity, Anya, we might be able to create a weapon capable of fighting back the Devourers. Anya felt a surge of renewed determination. She wasn't just the last human mechanic anymore. She was a symbol of hope, a testament to human resilience. With the combined knowledge of the Ethel and the ingenuity embedded within the Phoenix, she would forge a weapon, a beacon against the Devourer's consuming darkness. Sol Station 13, once a lonely tomb, had become a crucible of creation, a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity, ready to take its place amongst the stars once more. Years bled into a decade. The once isolated Sol Station 13 transformed into a bustling hub of collaboration. The Ethel, their shimmering forms a constant presence, worked alongside a team of newly arrived human survivors, their faces etched with relief and wonder at finding a haven. Anya, her once weathered face now etched with the lines of a seasoned leader, coordinated the effort, her pride in humanity's resurgence a constant fire in her eyes. The Phoenix, no longer a half-assembled dream, stood proudly in the station's heart. A sleek, metallic fusion of salvaged human components and Ethel technology, it pulsed with a restrained power. It was a weapon, yes, but also a symbol, a phoenix rising from the ashes of humanity's near extinction. News arrived, a tremor through the vast network of Ethel communication channels. The Devourers, their insatiable hunger pushing them ever outward, had been spotted on the fringes of Ethel territory. The time of preparation was over. Anya stood before a gathered crowd, humans and Ethel alike, a mixture of trepidation and resolve etched on their faces. "We are humanity," she boomed, her voice amplified but raw with emotion. "We have faced extinction and emerged stronger. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for all who value life and creation." A cheer erupted, a wave of defiance washing over the station. Anya turned towards the control panel of the Phoenix, her calloused fingers poised over the activation switches. This was it, the culmination of years of isolation, loss, and hope. With a deep breath, Anya initiated the ignition sequence. The Phoenix hummed to life, its salvaged reactor core resonating with a low thrum. Ethel energy crackled through newly integrated channels, supercharging the human components. The station lights flickered momentarily, then steadied, their glow a testament to the combined power harnessed within the Phoenix. Anya threw a final look at the assembled faces, a mosaic of determination and trust. Then, with a resolute nod, she activated the Phoenix's primary weapon, a beam of focused energy, infused with Ethel technology and driven by the ingenuity of human design. Sol Station 13 trembled as the weapon discharged, a blinding beam lancing towards a holographic map depicting the approaching Devourer fleet. A distant explosion painted the map, followed by a ripple of disruption that engulfed the entire Devourer armada. Static filled the communication channels, replaced moments later by a wave of relief. The Devourer's technology, as predicted, had been crippled. Anya slumped back in her chair, exhaustion washing over her like a wave. But a smile, genuine and heartfelt, spread across her face. They had done it. Humanity, alongside the Ethel, had stood their ground. The battle wasn't over. The Devourers, a relentless foe, would surely return. But for now, Sol Station 13, a beacon reborn from the ashes, stood as a testament to the enduring spirit of humanity. And Anya, the last human mechanic, a symbol of resilience, had ignited a spark that would illuminate the galaxy once more. The future, once shrouded in darkness, now held the promise of a new dawn, forged in the fires of collaboration and the unwavering spirit of humankind.